Bonsoir tout le monde. Thank you very much for being here tonight. It is fantastic, A, to see so many people here at this forum on the Miramichi. B, to see so many people of the current caucus, to see people from the federal level of our great party, and to see people who have been formerly a part of our great caucuses, whether it be John Foran, Abel LeBlanc, whether it be Brian Kenny, Denis Landry, Edouard Albal, Bill Fraser. We have a good mix of good liberals here. But even more importantly, I think it's fantastic to see Heather Steinitz, who has brought some young people here to witness democracy firsthand, and I congratulate you for realizing that it's important to get people involved young, and hopefully you'll enjoy your night. Moi, je m'appelle Brian Gallant, je viens de Shediac Bridge. My father is an Acadian, my mother is a Dutch immigrant, so I'm half Acadian, half Dutch, and despite my blue tie, 100% liberal. My mother comes from the Scholten family. For those of you who may know the family, they came here in 1952. My mother's family has quite the New Brunswick story. My Oma and Opa came here with their 17 kids looking for a better life. They landed in Quebec, and truth be told, their immigration sponsor never showed up, so my grandparents were there with $20 in their pockets, 17 kids, could not speak a word of English or French, and they didn't know what to do. It was a priest from Minto, New Brunswick, who had helped other Dutch families immigrate to our great province, who talked to my grandparents and said, you know what, pack up and come to our province, we're going to help you out. Thank goodness that they chose a province that would not judge them based on what language they spoke. They chose a province that would not judge them on how much money they had, and they chose a province that would not judge them on their background. And because of this, because of their hard work and their community-orientedness, they have survived and in many cases thrived. I'm very proud of my family. I'm very proud to be here on the Miramichi, where some of the Scholtens have lived, as I'm sure you know. Mais je peux vous dire aussi que je suis très fier d'être libéral. We should all be very proud of what we have accomplished in the last few months. 700 people showed up to a convention that we had in Fredericton in November of 2011. We had events with Justin Trudeau just recently where there were hundreds and hundreds of people looking and craving for a new type of politics. And just recently, we've had 19,000 people register to vote in the upcoming leadership. This shows us that we are on the right track. This shows us that our caucus is currently keeping our government accountable. This shows us people are discontent with the current government. This shows us we have good leadership candidates that are working hard to re-engage liberals of the past and, of course, recruit liberals for the future. This shows us that people want politics to change. I'm excited to be here to talk to you about how we can do that today. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nick Davenport, and I can tell you that in the last 11 months, the questions I've been asked more than any other question is not if I'm a good liberal, but how the heck do you pronounce your name? And I can tell you that I've heard so many different translations, I'm not even sure which is the right one anymore. So together we'll pick one and we'll work with that. Look, on June 17th, 1952, my mom and dad were married in Holland. On June the 18th, the very next day, they took a little drive to Rotterdam and boarded a ship to come to Canada. I won't go through all of the details. They thought it was their honeymoon trip, and it was only when they got on board they thought they had all their reservations in order, and once the ship left port, the announcement came, and the men on this side and the women over here. So that's a good way to start a honeymoon, but who would ever have thought that journey coming to this country would produce me as well as nine brothers and sisters whom I have, and today I'd be a contender for the leadership of the Liberal Party of New Brunswick. I'd like to introduce you first of all to my wife, who's been a phenomenal travel mate with me for the almost the last year, and without whom I could never have pulled this off. We are married, we have 5 children. The oldest is 35 and the youngest is 18, just off to her first year of university at the Nova Scotia Agricultural College. So it's a whole new phenomenon for us because my wife had children before we were married, but she unfortunately was widowed at a very young age, and I said, that's not a good situation. So right from the time that I was married, we were putting children on the bus. And so this is the first year actually since I was married that we haven't put children on the bus. I've told a lot of people, we were married on Friday and Monday morning we were putting children on the bus. That's quite a feat. I've been the mayor of Baldoon. I've been part of the school board for many, many years. Tonight is forum number 7 of 7. And quite frankly, I'm glad there's not 8. Yesterday we took a little day trip to take our children back to university. We left home. We went to Truro and dropped one off there, went to Fredericton, dropped another one off, and then came home. 1,100 kilometers in total. We got home at around 2:30 this morning, took the tail off of a moose here on the Miramichi Highway. We're going back to the hindquarters tonight. I can tell you that tonight is an opportunity for you to be objective with whom you want to be the leader of the Liberal Party for however long it is. An objective evaluation, that's the whole objective behind these forums. They're not intended to be parades of any sort. An opportunity like never before to offer an objective evaluation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's nice to be here among some of my former colleagues from the House, and Abel LeBlanc, Frank Kane, your former member, our MP, Dominique Leblanc. The former Chatham, Miramichi, means a lot to me. My father went to school here from 1937 to 1940. He was essentially kicked out of high school in Moncton because he was always battered and bruised in fights. And he came up here and he learned how to fight better and how to win. My uncle Malcolm Barry and Pat Barry, who many of you may know, were great athletes here at St. Thomas. My wife Moira Kelly from Radio Street is here tonight, and my son Aidan. So it's wonderful to be here. Now, I told you about some rebellious people. I was told that I was a rebellious youth, and I got older, and it seemed to just get worse. So buckle your seatbelts, because there's a few things we need to talk about tonight with regard to the Miramichi and the extraordinary things that we need to do here. But before we can do that, we need to talk a little bit about ourselves and what our history is. I'm 54, although it's very obvious that I look a lot younger than that. Moira and I have 5 children, and we have lived your life in many respects. We have walked the floorboards at night, worried about children and their health, and worried about their education, and seeing people leave this world that we didn't think should leave. Moi, je suis avocat depuis 30 ans. Mes clients sont les bûcherons, les conducteurs de taxi, les services, les gens ordinaires de la rue. I have been a lawyer for 30 years, getting up, going to work early morning, sometimes late at night, looking after those who often couldn't look after themselves. And my life has been very much a reflection, I think, of some of the things that we have seen here in this province and across the Miramichi. I have a public record. Now, when I was here as Minister of Health, supported by the then caucus and the MLAs, we had no layoffs at this hospital. We had the biggest recession in 75 years, and we kept those programs going, and the previous government made this a level 3 trauma system here, and that has to stay. But we live in some extraordinary times, and we need to make some extraordinary measures. The Miramichi has gone through some traumatic times in the last 20 years, in the last 3 or 4 years. And I propose that we have a jobs bill across this province, including that for the Miramichi, looking out as to what our assets and our goals are, and how we can do things ourselves. Also, of course, with regard to healthcare, there are a number of things that need to be preserved. You want to make sure that all of your wings are for acute care here in the Miramichi. So tonight is all about fighting for healthcare, fighting for the old age pension, and fighting for Miramichiers and people across this province. Thank you.